Hi guys, Joshua Peterson Electric. This video is January of 2020. The video is going to be about what to expect when cutting in can lights or certain types of fixtures, LED, disc, or flat, or even kind of like an offset can trim. So this house is 1976. Basically, there is copper wiring, there is grounding, because anything prior to possibly 68 might have around that air aluminum. So this is all copper, which is good. And then anything before the 60s might have no grounds. So as far as this did have a ceiling fan up here, and it did have a light box. How you can know if there was generally a ceiling fan rated box is going to be right here. It only had one switch in the room. Smaller bedrooms will have two switches. The other thing is, you open this up, you can see it was a DIY or a homeowner who had done this wiring. It's really badly done. I'll have to cut that in and correct it, but we want to put a dimmer in there. It used to be a switched outlet. Somebody fished up a wire years ago and put in a ceiling fan. Again, that box wasn't exchanged. It has to be a 1032 screw in order to hold a ceiling fan rated box, and there's more screws to screw it to the stud or a bracket arm that attentions against it for a remodel type. It did not have three wires going up. There is no red, it's just blacks. So basically that's going to say that's only a 2-wire up there, so you have to have a remote up there or fish down another wire. Well, anyways, he wanted to put in can lights instead. One of the things that happened is the fan wobbled so bad that the drywall at a 4-inch hole was starting to break. As I cut it into 6-inch, it finally got a little bit more firm. We were going to put a blank there and decided not to. So he wanted to put in lights. So either you have one light in the center or you go with 5. Otherwise, I was going to blank the center, or we could have put a junction up in the attic. Now, if you can fish through and actually walk up there, it's about $50 cheaper an opening to get those lights in, because I can get up there and it's a lot easier than trying to fish. Unlike an area like this over here, it is a vaulted, but the trusses are very narrow, so I can still fish it. And so that we're able to fish in that vault. Some of the vaults you cannot. What to anticipate when you're doing this, we put down tarps everywhere. As you can see, the insulation decides to drop down. We decided to go with these type of flat disc trims. These work really well in a situation where you're going to have to pinch it because you're up against an eave and you can't get a 7-inch can up there. And so you could use this even if you're on a main living room area, but in a living room area, you will have to drill between the studs. And here's a job. Well, let me walk you around here. We decided to go with these right here because of the fact that the joists were too close to a couple corners of the outside pitch. And then in here, since it was, this is more of a batted insulation rather than the fiberglass that falls on your face, we're able to put in these can trims. And so we'll wing these in. And then he loves the Helco's most important. But these trims right here are nice because you can pull these off and screw that in and change that later. But it does need the wings. And so you have to have 7.5, 8-inch clearance to get these guys in. But we're going to cut in 4 here. Now this we will have to fish down a line because he wanted to keep the ceiling fan. And again, I hope that ceiling fan is rated. But that actually has 2 wires going up and he has a remote to turn it on. So we're going to end up breaking out this box. And then where the switched outlet is right here, we're going to tie that together because he no longer wants that. We could cut in a 2-gang box if you'd like to. But we're going to drill that box and drill up. And right about this edge right here, as you can see, corner to corner. Come over here. Over here. Come over here. As you can see, if I draw a line across, the wall is there, so I can stand up there and fish this down. So this will be an easy fish and get him a separate switch leg with a dimmer. But again, these outlets will be tied through right here or at the outlet. But you cannot keep those in dim outlets with cans because you will blow up your laptop or wreck your phone easily. Okay, keep that in mind. So down here, Sometimes you have these other style mushrooms that are older and newer, kind of looking bulbs like that. We have a flat disc trim, I'll show you. There's a disc that you can put there. The ones I showed you up there, the Helco and the cans that pop in, as well as those flat other remodel, those you don't use in that situation. You use that in the situation of right here. So he had a big, huge mushroom, and we decided to use this flat trim because it just attaches to the light box. Okay. Here's a job that we did last year. I'm sorry, I'm trying to find the switch leg. Oh, we had to bring the switch leg down. And so the bedrooms above, 16 inches on center, we had cut out discs. So we had literally 10 discs cut out across here. Then we fished over, and then this one we had to drill and drill and drill to get down. And you can see, we put the discs back in and put some mud on there, but he had a guy come in and spackle it and knock it down because it looks like the original orange peel now. And then these dim. So it gives it a really nice effect. There was no light down here but a switched outlet, and we got rid of that. Okay, and so when we have to drill the joist and we have to patch those, that's going to be $50 to $75 to $100, depending how bad it is and how old the house is, per trim, because we have to go back and patch. Now, we don't orange peel, knock down, and deal with painting, of course, but he had a guy come in and do that. So, and here's another situation. He had a swag fixture, and so we just ended up, actually there was no light in here as a switched outlet. We fished this up and made 2 cuts there, and evidently he had somebody come in and do an orange peel knockdown because they did a good job. This only had 2 cuts though. I was able to get it up, and then I was able to fish across. There is no attic space up there, but the joist on the newer, or the style of the 70s homes, still had a width like that with the batted insulation. So I was able to fish that up and yank that down and pull the wire and go down. And so this got cut into a 2-gang from a single gang box, and then we were able to dim that. Now these are an Edison type bulb, which we call a vintage, and they're dimming LED. So you do have to change your dimmer if it's an old incandescent. And how do you know? It says incandescent or 600 watt rated, 1000 watt only. And so this will say compatible for LED, CFL, and incandescent, and they're more of an electronic dimmer. But if you go to these vintage type bulbs, which are a little pricier, they're very pretty, you'll have to make sure you change your dimmer. Otherwise, you could wreck the bulbs or kind of have a meltdown in that box and wreck your wires too. So be careful of that. But yeah, so they came through over here and they did old school ceiling fans and these flat fluorescent cut-in fixtures. So we're going to probably do that for him. Hopefully in the future we've talked to him about that and put some more lights in. I'm assuming he'll do that. But as you can see, that's a really nice look. Okay, now the last thing I want to share with you is that we can put in over there, we could put in a switch system that allows a slave. There would be a master dimmer there and then a slave dimmer over here. And that is a decor type white switch that we could cut in, and it's a battery. So there's wirelessly making a 3-way. I could literally make a 3-way from here to here and then a 4-way from here to there or up there on the wall as he comes down. So I can cut in a couple of these extras with a kit. No longer do I have to get wires through a wall on a tri-level like this. It's difficult. So we can make it so those lights over there could dim here, or even this light here, we could put it in there and put a switch there or another switch up there, and then that way when you come down, this turns on. We can also get that to program with the same Pico kit and allow that to do it with your visor as you drive and walk in with groceries, and you just hit a button with your garage next to it and it'll turn on lights too. So anyways, guys, this is kind of a layout of an older home in the 70s and how we were able to get wires through. And I'll have to ask him who his drywall guy was because they did a great job, and I'd like to refer that out. But yeah, thanks guys for joining us. Hopefully it'll help you out.